How you doing, my friend?
Good. Robbie Scott. How you been, man?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. I'm getting on. I'm getting on as well as I can get on right now. How about yourself?
It's things are the way they are, right? There's not much we can do about it.
That's a very polite Canadian answer, my friend. I know what you're really trying to say.
No, no, no. That's is what it is, I guess. I know us Canadians, we always seem to be polite, and then you go to the States, and it's like totally different now.
That's the reputation we got as well as Brits, man. Everyone's all please and thank you, sir, but we're literally the opposite to that. If you look at Darren Till, I think you'll know what I'm talking about. Yeah,
Yeah, you got some bad eggs over there.
yeah. You're looking at one.
But yeah, I mean, let's jump right into it, man. I mean, not only are you a MMA fighter, but you're also a coach, you're a trainer, you're a personal trainer. Actually, I wanted to ask you about that. So, being a personal trainer, are you doing like the fitness aspect, or are you just doing more the fighting coach, like coaching for fighting? What are like, can you kind of define what you do?
That's a good question, actually. The boring answer is both, dude, to be honest, but it depends on the customer or the client. Like, I do have professional athletes, fighters, boxers, kickboxers, Muay Thai fighters, jiu-jitsu guys. I got a new guy doing jiu-jitsu at the moment. I do get those guys, but I also cater to the layman of the layman populace as well. So some people literally just do want to just lose weight, and I don't judge anyone for that. A lot of people have got that goal. A lot of people struggle with that. And I don't know how it is over there. I was just telling someone this recently, one of my friends back in the UK, and I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube about this as well, like famous, like celebrity personal trainers. You know the type that I'm talking about.
Hmm.
They say, working in a gym, being a little gym guy who just works in a gym. Oh, that's cute. You work in a gym. It's not really looked down upon, but it's kind of viewed from what I gather from America. It's kind of viewed as the same level as like working in a Starbucks or a McDonald's. It's not really considered like a superior position in terms of like the social hierarchy. But over here in the Middle East, where I'm based right now, like when you tell someone you're a coach or a personal trainer or a health and fitness instructor or someone who works in a health club, that people go, oh, oh, really?
Like
Tell me more.
perspective totally changes.
Yeah, completely. But in the UK and America, and I don't know about Canada, but when you say you work in a gym, someone goes, "Oh, that's cute. He works with like weights and stuff." Let him just have his fun, But I
Mhm.
enjoy that. But if I was to get really like philosophical on it, you do have the opportunity to change someone's life. I know that sounds really cliche and like I'm trying to big myself up, but I'm not. But the idea that you're improving someone's lifestyle and potentially prolonging someone's lifespan, I feel like that's me doing a good thing, man. But on the flip side as well, as a coach and a trainer, I have to stay in shape. So
Mhm.
that works well with my career because I don't ever let myself get too overweight or let my fitness drop down, because if to set a good example, I need to be in shape for these people to come to me as well. So I think they kind of both tie in really, really well. So I'm lucky that some people have desk jobs. Stipe Miocic, that he just fought. Dude's a full-time firefighter,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he's the longest reigning heavyweight champion of all time, and he managed to do it with a full-time job. And his job, I know firefighting is a physical job, but it's not like you you have to keep yourself in a specific shape. Firefighters can look however they want. But my job's literally to be in good shape. So it ties in well with fighting. That was a very long answer, but I was trying to, it was a good question. So
Fair enough. No, and then you bring up a good point. And I think it's not just you, the whole cliche you brought up about changing someone's life, but where you are, where you're training. I think it also opens up the doors for opportunities for people not to just lose weight, but when they see things, when they're being trained by a fighter, it introduces them to the idea of fighting, and that kind of intertwines with fitness.
mm,
And I think that like, a lot of people don't understand how exhausting and tiring training can be. And it intertwines, it helps you stay in shape. I don't know too many fighters that are out of shape. I mean, maybe for heavyweights, but
there's,
it really
there's
does
a few.
help
Hey,
open
there's a
up.
few. There's a few. There's a few. I know when the off season happens, as if there is such an off season in this sport. Oh, it happens. Like you see the guys who are like usually walking around at 3% body fat. The minute they let themselves go, watch how much they balloon in between fights. You know what? You follow boxing, right?
Yeah.
You remember Ricky Hatton like 10, 20 years ago?
Probably not.
Yeah, he's a guy. He fought Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao. There was only 2 losses.
Okay, no, it doesn't ring any bells.
Yeah, he was a fair bit. Now I grew up watching that guy, and with him being from Manchester, like me, like I don't really have any idols, so I don't want to say I idolized him, but I damn well looked up to him. But he was notorious. Like his name's Ricky Hatton. His nickname was Ricky Fatten because he would get super lean for a fight, and the minute he won or lost, he would balloon up maybe. I don't know if you work in pounds or kilos, but like 20 kilos, so like 45, 50 pounds in between fights, and then
Wow.
drop it, fight again, and then get back up again and go down again. And Floyd Mayweather was making digs at him for that. He kept saying, "No, I'm never gonna lose to a weekend fighter who's a fat man in real life." You know, there was some good back and forth between it. You know, but I think obviously the smart option is keep yourself not like really close to your weight, because that's what weight cutting's for. And I like to think of myself as a pretty legit weight cutter, if there is such a thing. But staying maybe within like 10% of your fight weight. Like if you fight at 70 kilos, which is 155 pounds lightweight, don't go above 77. You know, if you fight at 66 kilos like I do, or like I usually do, don't go above like 72 kilos. And that's literally what I'm floating at right now. So the weight cut for me, hopefully, touch wood, is going to be very, very easy when that opportunity comes, you know?
Right. And I think that's an interesting point you bring up too. And I guess the idea about weight cutting, you want to have easy weight cuts, because another fighter I talked to, he had this ideal that there's a reason why heavyweights last for such a long time, because they don't normally have to weight cut, obviously. And he has this idea that weight cutting is actually what cuts your longevity, not so much getting hit. Would you agree with that?
I think getting hit whilst dehydrated certainly takes some years off your career, because
Mm-hmm.
obviously, I mean, there's been studies on this. Dana's talked about it. Everyone's talked about it. Like the less water you have in the brain, the less water you're retaining within the membranes, the cell membrane that keeps your
Mm-hmm.
brain afloat, the less effective you are withstanding a concussion. And, you know, I'm not trying to say that I'm a pound for pound or a great or anything like that, dude, but in 7 pro fights and 4 semi-professional fights, I've never even had a concussion. I've been
Wow.
TKO'd, but I've never had a concussion. And I've fought all the way up to welterweight before. And I don't have a welterweight frame. The guy that TKO'd me, it's on YouTube, you can find it. The guy that TKO'd me is built like a house, man. Like his arms are bigger than my legs, and his head is the size of my torso. I had no business fighting a guy that big. That's why we have weight classes. But I mean, he knocked me down. He hit me with his best punch, and I was awake. I was wobbly, but I was awake. I didn't get a concussion. The 3 fights after that, it was like Francis. He's kind of like a Francis Ngannou of that division. Like he touches people and they just go to sleep. It's scary. You can Google him. He's a big guy. But I thought, yeah, well, I don't need to cut weight. I'll be fresher than him because he's cut weight and I've not. And man, I tell you, I mean, who knows how long his career is going to be? There is a right way to do it. Maybe 1 or 2 different right ways to do it. You can ask Mike Dolce about that. And there's a hell of a lot of wrong ways to do it. And I've done all the right ways and the wrong ways. So I know what works for me now. Like weight cutting is necessary, but cutting a copious amount of weight, I can see that having a big effect on your longevity. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and then that's just it. Like you look at some great MMA fighters out there that cut so much weight and they still win their fights, but you see that turning point in their career where they start to lose those fights, those key fights, and that can just totally change your career within a second. And that's, I think it's so important that they have to address weight cutting, and fighters need to be really careful, because it's great if you're 22 years old and you can cut 30 pounds just like that. That's great. But when you hit 33, it starts to catch up with you.
Yeah, it does, man. And that's another reason why my job plays into being good at keeping my weight on track, because guess what? I'm also a qualified nutritionist. So I know how certain foods affect your body and affect your fat levels and your water retention and your salts and your sugars and all that. So I've started looking at weight cutting as not weight loss. It's scale manipulation. You only need to be that weight for like less than an hour. And then the first thing guys do is they grab the Gatorade or the electrolytes or whatever they have. You see them at the weigh-ins, they just go and they throw it down the neck.
Yeah.
And then the day after, they wake up like, what, 10, 12, 15 pounds heavier? It's like, so you're not that weight then. You were just that weight for that set few minutes that you were on the scale and doing the face-offs and all this shit. So I call it like scale manipulation. Like you're just doing enough. Like some people take natural diuretics and laxatives and they sweat just a little bit just to get the last couple of pounds out. I've seen all the tricks, man. And I kind of blend a bit of all of them together, but you've just got to be smart about it. And a planned weight cut is much better than anyone who just wings it. A little bit like Masvidal did against Usman. I'm convinced of that. Like that dude's like, I know he was showing off about it and he was trying to hit like a hard flex, but the dude was eating pizza on a plane 5 days before he had to get on the scale and lose, what, 20 pounds or whatever it was. And it's like, okay, dude, weird flex, I get it, but and then when he got in the fight, and then he said, yeah, the weight cut, bro, you know, I only had like 2 good explosions every round, and then I was just gassed. And it's like, yeah, and you were eating pizza on a plane, dude. And I love Jorge, you know, he's under my management, first round management. So I have nothing but respect for him. I back him 100%, but that could have been done differently, you know? And I suppose now we get to see who actually wins when they've both had full camps. That's coming up now, isn't it? So we'll see that fight.
Yeah, I do want to bring that up after. But kind of moving on with you. So kind of starting from the beginning, you're born in Manchester, England, but you moved to Kuwait. So what facilitated that decision?
The money, dude.
That's
the
awesome.
money. You know, I mean, people are starting to become more aware of this region now because of things like Fight Island and how prolific in the media Abu Dhabi and Dubai are. But it's a tax-free haven over here, and the currencies are very strong and the wages are very high. There's a few things that play into that as well, like cost of living is a little higher as well. But if you're smart, you can make a damn good living out here, and it's kind of like an untapped secret. Especially the country that I'm in, like everyone goes to Dubai and Abu Dhabi now because it's like the hype, and everyone got you know, like Drake and Jay-Z and whoever, they rap about places like Dubai and the songs now, so it's not a secret anymore. But the surrounding countries are exactly like the UAE, but they're just not spoken about because they don't have all the really tall buildings and stuff. But Kuwait, where I'm based, is one of them. You know, I mean, to go back from the beginning, without to cut a long story short, I started boxing very early when I was a kid. I then dropped that and moved to Muay Thai. I then dropped everything when I went to university and then started catch wrestling. And catch wrestling is what led me to doing MMA as a whole. I think I was about 18 or 19 when that all started. And then I was just doing it for fun, really, and for health purposes, like, you know, not going crazy out of shape being at university. You know what happens at university, man. Everyone loses their mind, gains weight. Just around the time where university was finishing, I ended up going to Wolfslair, which was the gym where Bisping, Rampage, Czech Congo, all these other guys. We had about like 11 or 12 UFC fighters at one point, all active. So it was the place to be in the UK at the time, and I was fortunate that I was very close to where the gym was. And I was rolling with a few of the guys and sparring with a few of them. And then one of them, I think it might have been, who was it now? I don't think it was a UFC fight. It was a guy who fought in the local promotions. He goes, have you ever considered like actually fighting? And I kind of brushed it off and laughed and said, yeah, fighting. And he was like, no, really, why don't you? You're good. You're good. Like you give us a good run in here. And I said, So then sure enough, I booked an amateur fight, which I was not ready for at all. They threw me in with a guy who was undefeated in 13 fights at amateur. But I feel like that's on YouTube as well. I can link you to that. It's a bit embarrassing for me because I was very green, but I gave him a good go. And then my next 3 amateur fights, I won all in the UK. I made my professional debut in the UK. And then it was around about that time where I got a call to come out here and make some real fucking dollar, you know? So I tried to continue my fighting career over here. It's been a little sporadic because at the time when I came out here, like nearly 6 years ago now, it wasn't what it is now, with the Middle East being like the hub of fighting. But now that it started to pick up a little bit, I'm hoping for a big 2021, dude, you know? And I'm pleased with what I've done so far, but I know I've got a lot more to give. And I think you put me at the right weight class where I'm supposed to be, not jumping up to lightweight and welterweight because there's no one else to fight. I mean, you really put me in with the guys that I actually I'm a similar size to. Like, you're going to see me do some real dangerous work in there. I've said this on a podcast recently, and I said I don't want to start hyping myself up. I'm going to be the world champion or all that. I just want the opportunity to get in there and make a real fucking example of someone, and for everyone to see it and say, that's what he's really about, you know? Mm-hmm. That's all I'm after. That's like from the beginning to now, so far, the story so far, you know?
You just want to like show your full potential, right? Exactly. And and I guess talking about training in Kuwait and things, I don't know how bad the COVID reached the Middle East, but did COVID really affect your training at all?
At first, yeah. With like they closed the gyms down immediately, and we were in like a partial lockdown for a little while, and they actually administered a curfew. I don't know what they did in Canada or America. They did that in the UK, but no one paid attention to it, so the cases went up. So I'm glad I wasn't there. MMA gyms in the UK have been closed since last summer, so that really sucks. But over here, we had a bad couple of months where the cases kept spiking, dropping, and the intensive care units all over the hospitals got very, very full. But then around late August, early September, as long as you were walking around wearing these bloody things, you know, they pretty much allowed us to go anywhere. And then the curfew just got gradually later and later, and then they dropped it completely. And I was back to full-time training again. So between September and February, I was training full-time, like twice a day most days. So I've been in shape for a long time. And then in February, we had a bit of a spike. So they started to bring a curfew in again, which was still kind of in. But all I've done is I'm still training, but I just altered my times. Now I'm just training like exclusively early morning. And I'm just ticking over and keeping my weight down and staying fit, staying in shape, you know? So originally, to answer your question, yes, it affected it a lot. Now it's just, it's just fair, you know? And I'm in fight shape. If someone was to call me for a fight, I just maybe need like another week or two just to get into like, you know, peak performance, like into prime performance. That's all I'd really need. A couple of weeks and I'd be ready to jump in there with any featherweight that you throw at me.
Excellent. And I guess, you know, when everything happened at the beginning with COVID, having the shutdowns and things, you being kind of a personal trainer, training people, did you have in any mind the worry about like, what am I going to do? Did you have any of those thoughts go through your mind?
All of them, all of the
above
that you just, I'm still having that now, dude, because the training's fine, but the traveling is still an issue, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And now they're talking about these like vaccination, but I don't want to make this whole interview about COVID. I apologize.
Of course.
I know the more you say things like vaccine and COVID and Corona, like things get flagged on Instagram and YouTube now, so it becomes a problem. So I'll try and keep those words to a minimum. The virus that will not be named, we'll just call it that. That the main concern now is traveling, you know, and they're starting to say that you might need like a passport to prove that you've had like a double dose of one of the vaccinations, you know. So that's the only other thing. Like I've been in contact with Cage Warriors a lot after my last fight, and the matchmaker who I've become kind of closer now, I'd probably consider him a friend. He said, look, dude, we really want you. It's not like we don't want you, we do, but you're a 14-hour journey away in a world right now where the situation is very uncertain. So we can't make the commitment of flying you over and then for you to get stopped on a layover in like, I don't know, Amsterdam or Istanbul or something, and then find out that you can't make the fight and we have to find a replacement for you. That's a lot of time and effort and money on our end. So I get it, but you know, that's the main issue that I think a lot of people are facing right now. Some really, really elite fighters, and I mean elite, that live and train and work here and fight from here and are based out of here. The only reason we're having problems is the travel situation, not the amount of talent or the amount of experience or anything. It's just the travel situation that's a problem right now.
Yeah, and I get that, but you would think that they would have that certainty to take care of you and get you over safely, right? I mean, if they want you to fight, they need to figure something out for you.
Look, dude, I'm not under any delusion that I'm like a big name. I'm a superstar. They just have to have me. They can't wait to have me. No, but they appreciated the fact that I jumped in against the number one contender again in the weight class above where I usually fight. That was the Joe McColgan fight, my last one, and on 6 days' notice. You know, so 4 or 5 days until the weight cut, because you know when you fly that long, you pretty much lost a day anyway.
Right.
So I landed in Ireland. First time I've been to Ireland, by the way. And I straight away had to do like bloods, medicals. And this is before COVID. I'm sure there's loads more you have to do now. And I just said, look, I don't care. Just give me the best guy. I just want the best guy. Just get me in there. So I think, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. You'd have to ask him. But I think maybe they feel like they owe me a little bit because I did him a solid. Like I jumped in for the #1 contendership at lightweight in the co-main event of one of the biggest cards that region's ever seen. So I feel like, I don't feel like they owe me, but maybe they think he kind of did us a favor there. So we should probably give him another chance. And that's what they've conveyed to me. We'll see if it comes to fruition or not. Like I'm damn ready. I couldn't be more ready, dude. If he calls me, I get on the plane tomorrow. I'm not exaggerating. I would.
That's awesome. I do want to get back to the Cage Warriors aspect, but talking about your record, you're 5-1. You had quite a few finish. Sorry, 5-2. 5-2. Okay, well,
I could have let you have that, man. I could have just let you say, 5-1. It's only one loss, but I thought transparency was the best option. It's 2 losses, I'm afraid.
Okay, well then the internet's full of shit. But talking about some of the fights you've been in, you had quite a few finishes on the ground. Is that just a coincidence, or is that somewhere where you like to be?
I know this is such a generic thing to say, dude, but I don't give a shit where the fight goes. And I tell you one thing as well, I very rarely initiate a takedown. I'm not one of these guys who chases double legs because I don't want to get hit. My background is striking, it's always been striking. But I have got an absolute infatuation with catch wrestling, and jiu-jitsu to an extent. Like I have jiu-jitsu in my pocket to use when I need it. But I just really like all the dirty submissions that you can do in catch wrestling, like the stuff that really, the cranks and the splits and the stretches, like I love that shit. So, but I very rarely initiate a takedown, but the minute a guy clinches me, and it's on my highlight reel, you can see it, I can't help it. I want to get in there and just like grab the back of his head and throw knees and elbows. But the minute someone gets too close to me, it's like, I can see your foot and I can't help it,
No,
even in the last fight I had, like my intention was not really to take that to the ground. And everyone said, you've got to take him down. John McColgan's an elite striker. I was like, okay, I've fought elite strikers before. Dude, we've got elite strikers in my gym. You think that's going to scare me? So we just ended up in a weird situation where I caught the first kick that he threw. And then off of that, he tried to take my back. So when he took my back, I rolled for a knee bar because I didn't want to start fighting a choke when neither of us are sweating yet, and he's still got a lot of energy, and I can't just wait for him to get tired. So the minute I felt the dude get to my back, that's why I went for the rolling knee bar. But it was a very quick sequence. So a few people who were watching it why did you pull guard? Why did you put? I was like, I didn't. He was going to get my back, and I went for a knee bar. But that's the first time I've ever done that in a fight. I've never pulled guard in a fight before like that. So I just flow with it and see where it goes. But if someone wants to stand right in front of me and sling fists, I'm in for that, dude. But if someone wants to be an idiot and clinch me and feel what catch wrestling really feels like in an MMA fight, yeah, all right, I'm in for that as well. You're not going to intimidate me anywhere, really.
Right on, and I'm glad to hear that. Now, going on with Cage Warriors, coming back to that. So I know that you made your debut with them. You jumped in on 6 days notice, you said. So that being said, did they offer you a multiple fight contract because of that, or is it just a 1 fight contract?
It was a 1 fight deal because of the very last minute notice that I received. If I'd have won, they might have put their hands in my pockets and offered me something else. But I was just grateful for the opportunity, dude. And when they told me it was going to be on Fight Pass, UFC Fight Pass, I'm not this kind of guy, but I know that if I Google my name or if I put my name into Fight Pass, I know I'm going to come up. That's kind of cool. If I was to retire tomorrow, at least if you put my name into the UFC app, there's me. But it's not a win. So I'm kind of not happy about that either, So it's a catch-22 situation. But it was an awesome opportunity. It would have been even more awesome if it had gone my way. The only complaint I have is the result. They treated me much better than they needed to have been treating me. They checked on me regularly to make sure I was, acclimating, settling in, that I had everything I need for the weight cut, that I was staying hydrated, that I was, I was having room service and all this stuff. They looked after me so well, man. They don't realize the amount of work that Graham Boylan and Ian Dean go into to really give their fighters the best outside of the cage kind of care. you know? And I mean like one-on-one care, not just like, you guys okay? Okay, yeah, good luck in your fights. No, they come and see you one-on-one and see how you're doing and see how you're ready. And they direct you towards the media so you can get like your time in the limelight as well. You know, I don't have any complaints about how Cage Warriors run their business, dude. You know, the only thing I kind of want them to do now is just, you know, just give me one more. They offered me a fight before COVID and I said yes, but then you know what happened. Like the world went to shit. So I may as well just say the name now, actually. It's not like it's a secret. They offered me to fight Paul Hughes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm guessing you've seen him. He's doing real good right now. And I actually spoke to Joe McColgan, his teammate, after that. He was like, I'm going to do a terrible Northern Irish accent. And he goes, dude, you're fucking crazy. And I was like, why am I crazy? He goes, you fought me on 6 days notice and now you're going to fight Paul. He's an animal, dude. What are you talking about? He's going to rip your head off. I respect you, but he's going to rip your head off. And I was like, I don't think he is. And we had a bit of like back and forth. But he said, but like on real talk, he said, I don't know anyone who's willing to take the fights that you're willing to take. And I was like, okay, well, that's a compliment, you know? And it's true. I've taken short notice fights pretty much my entire career. There's only like 1 or 2 fights that I've had where it wasn't short notice. Usually it's just a week, 3 weeks maximum, and I just jump in there and I just do a job on some guy, you know? They offered me Paul Hughes and then negotiations fell through. First it was the weight, like they wanted to move up a weight class, and I was like, I'm done fighting outside of my natural weight class. I've been doing that for 5 years. Like, give me someone my size. Like, stop putting me against giants. And then the whole pandemic kicked in as well. So the negotiation fell through. But I would have fought the dude, you know? I don't know him personally. I don't really know much about him that way. I just know that he's a good fighter. But I would have done it. You know? I'm not going to say no.
Of course. Now you kind of talked about how you're having a little bit of a back and forth thing with the guy. Do you like having the trash talk? Like what do you like having that? Like what's your take on that?
It's not really happened too much. I had one guy, I was just telling the story yesterday to someone. I had one guy, because I speak, because I've been living here for so long, I speak Arabic as a second language. Some people don't know that about. Yeah, so I had one guy who was trash talking me in the fight. Like the stuff that the things he was saying to me, I can't repeat right now. The Arabs would go crazy if you heard me speaking that way. But he was saying he was chatting some grease to me, dude, in the middle of that fight. Like, I can't even give you the translation. He was saying some awful things. He didn't realize I spoke Arabic. So I waited for one round and just let him like have his words with me. And all the meantime, I'm like twatting him in the leg with leg kicks, and he's just not blocking him. And I was like, oh mate, you're not okay. And then I ended up slamming him and ground and pounding him and just dominated him the entire round. And the next round he comes out and he starts trash talking again, and I didn't reply back. And then I think it was either late in round 2 or early in round 3. I replied back with "Yalla ya hmar, ana mawjood waynak yani," and he was like, and I'll never forget the look in his face when I replied back to him in his native tongue, and he was like, oh shit, he's understood everything I've been saying to him. So for me, that was funny. So if I can go backwards and forwards with trash talk in my second language, I think I'd be okay doing it in English. But so far, no one's really tried to trash talk me. But I'm more than ready. Like, I've got enough in my vocabulary to give someone a verbal hiding if they really want to go there. But so far, no one has. The worst thing that Joe McColgan said is, I'm going to smash him, which is fine. Everyone says that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, if you don't think you're going to win the fight, don't fight.
Yeah. Well, I might not, but I'll do my best. It's like, no, it's just not how we work. As a fighter's mentality, it's not how we operate, dude.
Now, kind of moving on, what's probably the biggest thing you've learned about yourself and fighting?
But this doesn't help your cardio. No, I'm joking. I'm going to say that this is medicinal, just for discretion. But the biggest thing I've learned from fighting, I fucking love it. I wouldn't rather be doing any other sport other than what I'm doing. But I'm sure you wanted something a little deeper than that. But what did I learn from fighting? Just that I fucking love it, man. It's animalistic. It's medieval. It's primal. It's just adrenaline fuel throughout the entire thing. And I'm still at that age where me getting hit it kind of excites me. Maybe I'm going to reach a stage in my career where I don't want to take the hits anymore. But right now, when I get hit, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, you like that, dude? I'm going to give you one back. It's definitely taught me a lot about myself in terms of what I'm able to go through in terms of adversity. 100%. Like I thought, like the training was hard before I actually fought. You know, you do your sparring and everything, and sometimes things get out of control. Someone in the training room will lose the temper. They'll throw a slightly harder punch at you than what's considered sparring level. You do it back, but then you shake hands at the end, and it's all good. You know, that's the round over.
Yeah.
But in a fight, like you hear and see things differently. Like the breathing. And yeah, and you know, the shirtless as well. That was and that's a weird thing to say, but like everyone wears like rash guards or, you know, spats or whatever. So immediately you've got like, if someone doesn't shave or hasn't showered, immediately you're kind of like, oh, you know, straight away, that's new. And then you've got like, there's just something different about it. Like they come at you and you can hear them like, you can hear them breathing and they grit their teeth when they throw at you. And I was like, oh shit. And that really shocked me in my first amateur fight. But after that, I kind of knew like, all right, that's how it is now. Like at least at these lower levels before you reach places like the UFC, people are just going to try and kill you by any means necessary, and you're going to have to return the favor. So more often than not, I get my way, they don't. So I suppose that's the main thing it taught me. That, and yes, it's hard. It requires a lot of work. It requires a lot of dedication, all the stuff that everyone always says. And the reason why they always say it is because it's true. It does require a lot of hard work. It's very difficult to wing this job. You know, you don't just step in there and just like, oh, well, if I get lucky, you know, I might just knock him out with the first punch I throw. But more often than not, it doesn't work that way. So if you're not prepared, when you get to that second or third round and you haven't quite put the same work in that they have, you feel it, man. You feel it straight away. So that was a big lesson as well. There's many lessons, too many to name in the time we've got in this podcast for sure. There's a load of things it teaches you about yourself.
Well, that's awesome to hear, Robbie. And I guess, you know, you kind of talked about you want to be quite active in 2021. So how many fights would be ideal for you?
One every month. If you want the honest answer, one every month, dude. It's not like, and I just said this again, I always say this. I've noticed I do this when I'm being interviewed or when I'm being podcast. I just told a friend yesterday, it's like, all right, well, tell me, you fucker. Stop talking about what you've already said. I've noticed I do it in interviews. I'm trying to stop it, but I did just tell a friend. I really did. I did just tell him, like, he was like, well, come on, man. Like, it's been like a year and a half nearly since your last fight. What are you doing? You sat on your ass doing nothing? I'm like, dude, do you know how many fights I had booked in 2020 that got cancelled? Like, at least 4. I had one booked here in Kuwait. I was hoping to be the main event for the local title. I had one booked in Dubai and I had one booked in Manchester. Like I was doing like a damn Robbie Scott World Tour in 2020. That was my plan, you know. And then all of a sudden it was like, yeah, stay indoors and wash your hands and put a mask on your face. And here we are a year later, and we're still talking about it. You can't turn on the TV without hearing about this shit, you know. So of course, that was what put that in. But I would certainly like to get at least 2 or 3 of those big fights back. I recognize like it's 2 days until April. So how realistic it is, I don't know. But if someone offered me a fight tomorrow, I would fly and do it. If I got offered a fight in summer, I know Cage Warriors have got the another trilogy coming up in July. Graham, Ian, hi, give me a call. I'd like to get on that. And then realistically, I could probably get 2 more in. I could do 4. My body's ready. I don't have it. And I'm saying this right now as a disclaimer. I am not an injured man. I am perfectly well and ready and healthy and fit. So I'll try and do 4 this year if I get the opportunities. But realistically, if I get 2 in with the state of the world right now, I'll be lucky.
That's awesome. Excellent. Now, I did mention that I want to get back to the whole idea with Jorge Masvidal and Kamaru Usman. So obviously you watched the first fight. You kind of heard about what was going on with Jorge. How do you see this fight going around this time with the proper weight cut, the proper training? They're both going to be ready.
Yeah, putting me in a strange situation now, dude, because I actually, as a person, I am going against the trend. I know it's the cool thing to do on Twitter and stuff right now. I really like Kamaru Usman. I actually think he's a really cool guy. Like, nothing that he's ever done or said has made me think, you're a bit of a piece of shit, you, aren't you? Nothing's ever made me feel that way about him. And I've got all the time in the world for him, and I've got nothing but love and respect for the way he carries himself and how he talks and how he fights. I love it. But then again, like Masvidal, I've been watching Masvidal since like 2007. Like first the Kimbo thing, obviously everyone saw him on the Kimbo videos,
Yeah.
but like 2007, there's a British filmmaker called Genghis Khan, and the pun is in the name. His name is literally Genghis Khan,
Yeah.
and he used to do these. I think they were called the Game Bred Diaries, and this is like early days of YouTube, 2007, 2008, and he did one for Overeem as well. Before Overeem was in the UFC, this same filmmaker did stuff for Overeem and Game Bred Masvidal. They were like his biggest hits on YouTube at the time, and I watched them religiously. So I've known about Jorge for a long time, and then when I coincidentally, 10 years later, got signed to the same company that Jorge Masvidal's under, it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like chemistry all coming together, you know. So obviously, I kind of back Jorge because he's under my umbrella with my management. But the cop out answer, dude, is I don't know, because I didn't think he stood a chance against Darren Till. I was like, Darren Till is too fucking big. He's too long. He hits too hard. He's too dangerous. He's too scary. He's too calm. He just did 5 rounds with Wonder Boy. And then, you know, I know Tyron Woodley going. That's the last great performance that Tyron Woodley had, by the way, against Darren Till. He just lost for the title, but there's no shame there. I thought Darren Till was going to walk through that guy. And this is me loving both guys. So when Masvidal gets dropped and then literally stands up, laughs, blows a kiss at him, and then knocks him out in the second round, I was like, oh, shit. So it's a little bit like a Randy Couture situation. Like you feel like he's kind of like floating around as a gamekeeper. He's not doing anything. And then he does something amazing, like he did against Darren Till and then Ben Askren and then Nate Diaz. And then who knows how he would have been in the first fight with Kamaru if he'd had good preparation. I suppose we're going to find out. I don't know, man. Like this fence right here, I'm just going to sit on it and just see what happens. But it's hard to tell. But gun to the head, if I put money on it, sorry to my management, I think maybe Kamaru. I think even with like, I think Jorge's gotten a lot better and his preparation is going to help him. But I mean, how fucking good did Kamaru look in his last fight, man? Jesus.
Oh my God.
I mean, like switching stances and jabbing with both hands, that's ridiculous levels of skill. Like
I think too, it did help they knew each other quite well. So you kind of saw Burns show example of that at the beginning. He clipped him good, but you saw the champion and the challenger. There was 2 different guys right there. So I agree with you. And I think Kamaru is just getting better and better. But I think too, he's got some holes too. And I mean, he's got to be careful. And I in terms of stand-up, I still think that Jorge's got better boxing than him. Way better.
I'd agree with that. Definitely a lot more. He's definitely got some different entries because, like you said, I'm a coach as well, so I look at things like that. I observe them very, very closely. And Jorge's got a really interesting way of entering off the feint when he switches stance. Remember how Shogun used to do in Pride when he used to kind of like charge forward and he'd sneakily switch his stance and then charge like that? Yeah. Jorge does the same thing, but he'll give you a different look before he does it. Like he'll change levels and then he'll do it and then he'll throw one over and then he comes back the other way and then the next thing you know he's throwing knees and kicks at you. So he's got some really interesting entries. Whereas Kamaru was very kind of like here's bread, here's butter, and we're just going to put them together. But in the Gilbert Burns fight, he showed a few different things. Like, oh, I can jab here, but I can also jab here. You know, which I think Gilbert probably didn't see when they were training together. Like maybe he didn't switch stances much in the gym, and then when he did it in the fight, Gilbert was like, well, shit, what do I do now? You know? So I think we can't rule out the idea that even if Masvidal is going to look good, you can't rule out the idea that Kamaru might also improve. They might both improve. Maybe Gamebred's been working his wrestling. Kamaru's just been doing strict Muay Thai. You don't know, man. But Kamaru's already scary. Like, if he gets any better, like, Jesus, who's going to beat him? I don't know who beats him. Really.
He's I think Kamaru, he's the ideal the face of the new era of fighting. He's quite well-rounded, and that's kind of where you have to be nowadays. You can't really get away with being a Royce Gracie and just take the guy to the ground and submit him. You got to be able to understand how to, if that's your approach, you have to understand how to get to that point, because every fight starts on the feet.
Correct. Unless you're like Shinya Aoki or someone and you literally just like scoot towards someone on your ass, that has happened. But generally speaking, yes, it's 2 feet on the floor and both hands by your face. But he's kind of like a reincarnation of GSP in a way, like stacked guy, physical specimen, looks like a body like that shouldn't be able to move the way it does, but then it does. He's very difficult to take down. He's also very good at taking you down. He's got a good, I wouldn't say he's got a great gas tank, like elite level gas tank, but it's good enough for him to fight hard for 5 rounds. Same as George St. Pierre. George St. Pierre was never an output fighter, like volume. He was very much like, wait for the guy to make a mistake and either change levels and slam you, or pretend that he's going to change levels and then come upstairs and start throwing boxing. Like he did against Bisping. Like he dropped his level really low. So Bisping thought the shot was coming. So Bisping also dropped his level. And then right as he came up, the left hook came in. And I've seen Michael Bisping fall like that from guys like Dan Henderson, but George, the welterweight, knocking down like a huge. And I train with Bisping, dude. He's huge. He's an enormous guy for a middleweight.
Oh my God,
Bisping's a big dude.
But I think GSP, I think he was training with Roach, I believe, boxing coach. Freddie Roach, I think.
He still goes there. He still trains at not Top Rank. I'm drawing a blank on the name of the gym now. But yeah, Freddie Roach's gym. I know who you mean. But so he's kind of like the reincarnation of George in a way. Like he's very, very well rounded, but you make a mistake against him, that's when he's dangerous. He can quite easily grind you for 5 rounds. He's happy to do that. The same way that GSP was, and he got a little bit of hate as a result. If you hear something in the background, by the way, that's the mosque. So don't think that someone's invading me or something. That's just what the mosque does. It makes very noisy. Right? But yeah, that's what George was able to do. And now Kamaru does the same thing. Like he can knock you out. So don't get cocky against him, but also be ready for 5 rounds of just unpleasantness, And
that's, I think people don't like that. But as a champ, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Again, Robbie, it's been nothing but a pleasure having you on. Just my time's kind of coming up here, so I do appreciate you coming on the podcast, talking a little bit about yourself, having your perspective on MMA, and hopefully you get a fight book soon, man. I want to watch you fight.
Man, here's hoping, dude. Here's hoping. Like no one wants me to fight more than I want to fight myself right now. Trust me. Like I'm doing everything I can, and I know a lot of people say like I'm doing everything. I'm trying my best. I am literally on the phone every day with my manager, with promoters, with fighters, anyone who might know someone who knows someone who knows someone. I'm doing it, dude, like every day while I'm in work, while I'm here in my house. I'm driving my wife crazy because of it. So I'm literally doing everything I can. So hopefully, like the fruits of my labor are going to show, and I just get to do a real fucking number on someone, like just absolutely obliterate whatever guy they put in front of me, wherever he's from. Whoever he is, whatever he's done in his career, like just give me that opportunity, and I'm gonna blast a hole through his face, or I'm at least gonna damn well try.
That's awesome, Robbie. Well, I'm glad to hear it, man. You take care. Stay safe out there, and we'll talk again soon, man.
You too, my friend. Us. Thank you, man.